If you want to laugh and have some fun, this is the podcast. This is the one. Lights, camera, action on your marker, set, go. Welcome everyone to the Suezie Show. Welcome everyone to the Suezie Show. Welcome everyone to the Suezie Show. Welcome everybody. On this episode, I'm going to share with you some of my experiences from being an Uber driver. Now, I drove for Uber long enough to have plenty of episodes, so I may just scatter episodes of Uber confessions here and there. Hopefully you enjoy them as much as I did experiencing them, because I had a blast, let me tell you. Now, first things first. Now, I don't know if you've ever taken an Uber or done any kind of ride share, so I'll just break this part down for you quickly. You can rate your driver, and your driver can rate you when the ride is done. And if the rider and the driver both give each other 5 stars, the app will match them up again. For instance, let's say I was driving for Uber and you were a rider in my car and we both 5-starred each other. We both gave each other 5 stars at the end of it. If I'm in the area and you press that, you're in the app and you're looking for a ride somewhere, the app is automatically going to select me first above other drivers, which is pretty cool. Actually, that is actually cool, because if you gave a driver 5 stars, that means you're comfortable with them. You enjoyed the ride, so you would probably be happy to see their face again. Now it feels familiar, right? And it feels the same way for the driver. I started feeling like I was certain people's personal driver, and it felt good. It was cool. I could ask how their kids are doing, how's the job, is their boss being nice to them, how's it going, all different stuff. It was more of a personal experience, which I think is actually really cool. So with that being said, I wound up getting a lot of the same riders on certain nights, certain mornings, whenever. If I was around at a certain time when they would need a ride, we would get matched up. Now, there were some football players on school, an Ivy League school. I lived near an Ivy League school, and there were some football players that were really, really cool guys, down to earth, funny, nice kids, seriously, nice kids. And I wound up picking them up, and we 5-starred each other. We gave each other 5 stars, and whenever I was out about town, when the clubs were closing, if they were out, I was the one that was getting their ride. So one night I see, because you see the name and the picture, if you want to, you could put a picture of yourself on it, which is actually kind of smart because it's easier for your driver to find you in a crowd after a concert. But anyway, I digress. My bad. That's what I do. It's not even my bad. That's just what I do. Anywho, I picked these guys up. It's like 2:30 in the morning, and they're pretty buzzed. They had a good time, but they're responsible. They called an Uber. They called somebody to come pick them up. They knew they were going to go out and party. And I have a lot of respect for people that use rideshare and don't get behind the wheel. Like, seriously, I really do. I respect you. You could be wasted out of your mind, and I still got the utmost respect for you because you were mature enough about partying that you were going to be safe on your way home. So anyway, I had to throw that in there. So I see the guys, they see me, they know me by this point, and they're like raising their hands in the air, Suezie, they're huge too. You got to understand, these boys were like 6'5", 6'7", probably almost 300 pounds. They were big boys. They needed a bigger car, to be honest with you. I had a Hyundai Elantra they were hopping in. I had 3 big old football players in my Hyundai Elantra. 2 were in the back, 1 would sit in the front, because there would be no way in hell 3 of them would fit in the back. 2 of them barely fit. So anyway, I pick them up. What's up, fellas? How you doing? How was your night? Suezie, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Hey, all right, let's go. I already know where I'm bringing them, even though the app shows you, where you got to go. I already know where I'm going. So I start driving. And it's a beautiful night. It was like midsummer, and I had a moonroof, and I had the moonroof open. And one of them had the bright idea to stick his big old head out the moonroof and scream on top of his lungs, "I'm the king of the world! Woo!" Oh my God, you gotta see my face. I grabbed that boy by his shirt and pulled him out of the moonroof. I said, "Get your ass down before I knock you out." Because they knew I don't put up with that kind of craziness. We can have fun, but now you're acting stupid. Sit your ass down. And he sat down, and now he was smirking at his friend sitting next to him. Big old evil smirk. right? And his friend, I saw his friend next to him. I forget their names, but I saw the friend next to him just with a big old pout on his face. Pout. One had a smirk and the other one had a pout. And I looked at the one with the pout in the rear view. I said, what's wrong with you? What's that face for? Nothing. I said, oh my God. Are you really going to make that face unless I let you stick your head out and scream, you're king of the world? No. And his boy's in his face going, that's because I'm king of the world. That's why. And bigger pout. His friend's giving him a hard way to go. So I said, you know what? Go ahead. Do it real quick, though. And he biggest smile, like you just gave a little kid an ice cream cone. Oh, boy, was he happy. He sticks his big old head, barely fit his shoulders out, scream, I'm king of the world. I said, all right. Okay, everybody's kings. We're good now. Let's get you home. So I go to drop him off, and they're like, all right, Suezie. High-fiving, knuckle bumping, all that good stuff. These are good kids, man. They're a good time. Really, they definitely come from good families. But, so we're saying goodbye. Have a good night, guys. I'll probably see you next weekend, And we look over, and the third guy that was in the front seat, legit, was half passed out in the middle of the street. It's like 2:45 in the morning now, and he's in the middle of a 4-way street. It was in a residential area, but there's 4 lanes. And he's in the middle of it, laying perfect like a chalk outline. You know the chalk outline they do of like when dead bodies, not to be morbid, but you know what I'm talking about? When one leg is bent and the arms are like that. You know what I'm talking about? He looked just like that. He looked just like the chalk outline guy. Oh my God. And the guy in the street is going, it feels so good. It feels so good. And I think he was saying that because the concrete was probably cold. I don't know. I don't know what felt so good, but it just felt good. And his boys look at me. They're huge. And they look at me and go, you going to help us with this? Ow! Son, you are out your damn mind if you think I could even lift that man's leg. Okay, that's on you. Good luck, and I'll see you next weekend. And they wound up dragging him. Oh, it was so funny. So fun. I don't know why I didn't film it. Probably because I didn't want to get them in trouble or have the wrong person see it. So, well, whatever. I get to share it with you now. And that was that story. That's with the fellas. The fellas on the weekend. And I will say, because I did mention they're from an Ivy League school. A lot of people have the misconception. That would be a better word for it. They have a misconception of Ivy League school kids. A lot of people, it seems a lot of people I've seen around here anyway, kind of in their head, they have it stuck in their head. Oh, they're stuck up. They think they're better than anybody. You know what? The kids that I met and the people and the professors, people who work there, the kids who go there, like, these are good people. I have not once in the years that I Ubered, I have not once come across anyone that went to the school or worked at the school act like they were better than me in any way. Most of the kids are just like anybody else trying to get through school, got all this pressure. They don't know a lot of people yet. It's a new place. It's a lot to, and plus now you're going to an Ivy League, so you got that much more pressure. I can't even imagine. Some of these kids, they express to me how much pressure, and some of them actually are taking classes that they are not even interested in, but they're doing it because their parents are making them. Not even kidding. That's a shame. Do what I tell you to do because I'm paying for the school. It's like, okay, so now this person's stuck doing something they don't want to do for the rest of their lives to appease you. Anyway, that's a whole nother podcast right there. I think people should be allowed to follow their dreams, follow their passions. Anyway, another thing that I have noticed throughout the entire time I drove for Uber is that many parents thought it was perfectly acceptable to have their infant, and I mean infant, like picture 2-month-old babies, 4-month-old babies, 2-week-old babies. I'm not kidding. Infants. A lot of parents think it's acceptable to bring an infant and a child in the back seat of an Uber with no car seat. They will argue. They have argued with me that it's fine. And the only way I did it at first, that I would deal with it and handle that situation, is I would apologize to them for not having a spare car seat. And I would explain 99.9% of the time my trunk is used for luggage, because it was. If it wasn't, I would have purchased an extra car seat and had it sitting in that trunk. But my trunk was used almost pretty much 100% of the time for groceries and for luggage. It was very, very few and far between that a car seat would have been required. And I would always tell these people, I will wait. You can go in the house and get it. I'm not going to leave you. And they know it's fine. Let's just go. And I would have to tell them, I'm not going to do it. What I don't understand is I have family and friends that will not go anywhere down the street without a car seat when the kids were young. Now all of them are, well, no, I still have a couple great nephews that are still little enough to be in car seats, but most of them are older now. But they didn't go anywhere without car seats. Not even over, like, let's say I live 2 miles away. But on the other side of that, I will say this. When I grew up, it wasn't, I guess, as strict as it is now about car seats. Like, it was acceptable to sit on the driver's lap and steer as long as you were in the neighborhood. You'd be 5 years old steering the car. It was a different time. I will grant it. It was a much different time. But it is, again, it's a different time now. It doesn't matter what I grew up with and how it was back then. That's how it was. That's not how it is now. You see, I don't want to seem like a hypocrite. Like, oh, you did this when you were little and you did. It was different. The whole entire time era was different. There was no internet. Are you kidding? Come on. It was completely different. And again, now it's different now. So I'm going to respect the rules now and realize that they were probably wrong allowing 6-year-olds to steer and stuff. Like if a cop drove by, they'd be like, oh, you learning how to drive, son? Oh, good job. They wouldn't be like, what is wrong with you having that child? But then again, there weren't airbags, but not like the kid can't go flying through a fucking window. So maybe we weren't doing things right. Just because something was done back when I grew up doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it wrong, but it doesn't make it right. It was wrong to do some of this stuff, but I'm saying in general. And now I'm talking in general, like some of the things that were done back in the day, it probably wasn't the smartest or best thing to do. It's kind of, we know better about certain things now. So just because it was done back then doesn't make it okay to do now, especially if you know better. And we learned, we evolved. Are you with me? Are you on the same page? So I really don't get the mentality. And I got to the point where I wasn't as nice about it anymore. I got to the point where if I saw someone with like a 2-year-old or a 1.5-year-old with no car seat, I would just take a picture of them to cover my own ass and cancel the ride and let Uber know they had no car seat. So that if they ever called and complained and tried pulling some bullshit, because people try pulling bullshit with Uber drivers, I would show them, here you go. And the entire time I drove, I kept a 5-star rating the entire time, which I know it's just Uber, big accomplishment, good for me. Let's just big round of applause for that. But that says I had thousands and thousands of people in my car, and it takes one person to give you 4 stars to bring a 5-star down to 4 point something, and it takes a few months to bring. That never happened to me because I picked up all good people and we had good times, and I got to talk to people about their problems and laugh with them. Oh my God, I met some of the funniest people. What? I would be crying and laughing. I'd forget that I'm driving them somewhere. And I would tell them, stop. Like, you're making me laugh too hard. And I'm forgetting that you're not just a friend. I'm about to ask you, why are you sitting in the back seat? Where are we going again? I'm like, oh my God, stop being so damn cool. And I can focus that I'm actually working and I don't know you. Because they would have me cracking up with stories, and I would miss an exit and be like, oh my God. And they'd be dying. They'd be laughing. They'd be like, it's all right. It's okay. Because they knew it was their damn fault for getting me so distracted with their funny ass stories. Oh, it was awesome doing that. I enjoyed it. Oh, but don't get it twisted. I did have a few creepy creeps, and I'll share that one with you. One time, I picked a man up from an airport. Okay, straight from the airport. He had his luggage, everything else. I went and picked him up, and he gets in the back, and it was about, I want to say like 11 o'clock, 11:30. So I pick him up from the airport and, how are you tonight? Oh, I'm good. How are you? Oh, good. How was your flight? Blah, blah, blah. Small talk. Because you want people to feel comfortable when they get in your car. Some people they might be uncomfortable. They don't know you. You're a stranger and they're hopping in your car. I mean, I understand that being a driver, you got strangers getting in your car, but I kind of have control of the vehicle and I have a phone. I don't know, man. I think I want to put people at ease when they would get in my car, make them feel comfortable like they've known me for 10 years before they even step foot. Like if your name was, whatever, David, and I saw your name's Dave and I see you waiting there, I'd be like, hey, Dave, how you doing? I'm already talking to you before you get in the car. Hey, good. How are you? I'm good. Good. Come on in. Very positive energy, try to make people feel welcome. If they're having a bad day, I try to lift them up, blah, blah, blah. Anywho, I digressed again. This guy gets in the car. I picked him up from the airport and I get on the highway because he was like a 25-minute drive and he starts asking me questions. I forget what he started with. Do I have any pets? He just started asking personal questions. And then I didn't really answer his personal questions because it's 11 o'clock at night. You're a man. I'm a woman. I just picked you up by ourselves. It's 11:30. Let's chill with that. I picked up all different kinds of people at this point, thousands, but nobody ever came at me like this. It was just a creepy vibe for sure. Creepy vibe. Like you can get somebody asking, two different people asking you the same questions, but if someone is giving off a creepy vibe, you're not going to want to answer any of that shit. If somebody gives off a normal vibe, you're going to answer them because it's a normal conversation. But when you get that creepy vibe, that red flag, just ew, you're not answering shit to that motherfucker, trust me. So anywho, he leans in, picture this. He leans in between the two front seats, puts his face right near my cheek, and I could feel his breath. Like I could feel the warmth of his breath near my neck. And he goes, do you feel comfortable being alone with me in the car this late at night? And without hesitate, he kind of whispered it creepy right in my fucking ear, bro. He was right between the two. He put his face right between the two seats and looked right into my profile face while I'm looking at the road and whispers that. Do you feel comfortable being alone with me in the car this late at night? You know what I did? Ha! You know what your girl did? Without even hesitation, I twisted my face. Now I'm still on the highway going like 70. I twisted my face, looked right at his eyes. I said, I don't know. Do you feel safe being alone with me in the car this late at night? This guy's eyes, his pupils dilated, big and small, okay? Like a bird or some shit. I saw it. After I said that, without even hesitation, I practically touched his nose with mine and said that. I don't know. Do you feel safe being alone with me in the car this late at night? And I had like a twitchy in my eye when I said it. He ain't never gonna try to creep somebody out. It's gonna be a hot minute before that bastard tries to creep any woman out again. I'll tell you that. Because you can't judge a book by its cover. You cannot judge a book by its cover. After I said that, he just kind of, he was so close. He breathed in a little bit like a little gasp. His pupils dilated, which that's why I remember it, because I made a man's pupils dilate out of fear. And he leaned back and he didn't say another word until I dropped him off. That was pretty much, I think, the creepiest person I came across while Ubering. Everybody else was awesome. I have so many different stories. Oh, so many different people. So many different adventures. I think I'm going to do Uber confessions and just scatter them in between different episodes because there's just so much that I've experienced and so many different people, so many different places, and so many crazy adventures. I'm definitely going to have to do a few more Uber confessions. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time on the Suezie Show. I'll see you next time on the Suezie Show. Yeah. Thanks for listening and hanging out. I'll see you next time, without a doubt. Now you know where I am and you know where to go. See you next time on the Suezie Show. See you next time on the Suezie Show.